Points.
Hello, love, and welcome to another episode of the Broad Points Podcast. It's me, your host, the Broad That Points, the Broad with the Points. I am Tyler the Lady. And to start off this podcast, I want to say that ceilings, yep, if you look above you, the ceiling and all ceilings that you encounter in your life, they're man-made. Isn't that wild to think about? Man-made, meaning it was made by a man, meaning that it does not exist out of the things that we create for ourselves. And I think it's so easy to limit ourselves and to say that we can't do certain things because excuse, when really anything is possible. The current ceiling that is limiting you, the roof above your head, although it may be protecting you from some of those outdoor elements that we choose not to endure, it's man-made. The ceiling that's limiting you to saying that you have to work in the same job for 100 years with no movement or progress whatsoever. Hey, guess what? That's you. And although maybe it came from somewhere else, like we can say our parents or our teachers or whomever maybe gave this belief to us that we could only go so far, that's absolutely just what it is. It's just something that we were told. It's just something that we're telling ourselves. And we can choose what we want to tell ourselves now. So with that, I will go ahead and we'll jump right into the fundamental phrase because I said now. And the fundamental phrase for this week is brought to you by Ram Dass. Rest in peace, rest in paradise. Oh, wonderful Ram Dass. The fundamental phrase for the week is be here now. Be here now. Right now. Be here. Truly experience it. Be with yourself. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to the world around you. Embody your body. Feel your feelings. What's happening right now? The truth is that when we take the time to actually be present, the present is the presence. We are giving ourselves a gift of being alive, of truly experiencing what this world, what this life, what this body has to offer for us. And it's absolutely going to be different for every single person, right? Some of you may be listening to this in your car. Some of you may be listening to this while doing some yoga, to each their own. But by being here now, by engaging our energy 100%, we're able to recognize the choices that we have. And maybe even before the choices that we have, the choices that we're making. Because I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I can get really wrapped up in habits. I can definitely find some times in my past where maybe I was just kind of going on autopilot through life and I wasn't making conscious choices for myself. And golly, just one of those conscious choices is being present enough to not be in my head. And I have experienced crazy things in my life. I have experienced traumatic things in my life. And PTSD is a real thing for all human beings. And I feel like dogs too. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a dog from a rescue who has maybe been through some things. I think dogs have PTSD too sometimes because you go to pet them and maybe they try to bite your arm off and you're like, hey, like I was just trying to let you smell me so that we could be friends. I just want to be friends. PTSD, it comes up when you don't want it to, right? These events, these situations where maybe we weren't in control or weren't able to use our power, or maybe weren't even present. They can creep back up at times when you least expect it, and most of the time when you least want it to. And that's something that I have had to work through, and I'm sure a lot of people have. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I feel like I'm opening up to somebody and I'm talking to somebody about something, there really is that me too, or I know somebody else who went through that, and there's just a level of connection that, for me, I really feel like started to develop when I started to listen to Ram Dass. And Ram Dass, I started to listen to Ram Dass when I was living up in Arlington, Washington. Oh, good old Arlington. Arlington was beautiful. The fact that I had to work in SoDo, which is south of Seattle. It was 45 miles away from the office. That was not clutch. That was not beautiful, gorgeous, cute, none of it. And I had to drive in every day for the first, I don't even know how long, but driving 45 miles each way to go to a job that says if you live 50 miles away from the office, you can just work from home. Ooh, that made me so angry. I was constantly so pissed. And again, people don't believe that I had rage in my past, but a young Tyler, oh my goodness, she could not hold in the rage. And so when I'm driving, and I'm driving in, the rush hour traffic, 45 miles each way to and from work, my road rage was extreme, dude. I was just constantly, death gripping the steering wheel. You know when you, white knuckle the steering wheel because you're so pissed? Guys, I would let the anger ride. It was just me and my anger in the passenger seat, and I'd be yelling, and I'd be, using hand motions of, what the heck are you doing? Stay in your lane! And I'd be so pissed, right? Then enters Ram Dass. And the first of Ram Dass's works that I had listened to, because I was driving, don't read and drive, people, that's very dangerous, and Teslas, I don't even trust that. I would not even read and drive in a Tesla because I have seen and heard about too many Tesla crashes on autopilot. Why are we doing stuff to automate things that we can do? I'm sorry, it's just creating more pollution. I think people could take the bus. You could read on the bus. You could read in a taxi. You could read in an Uber. We're employing other people. We're not creating toxic batteries. I'm sorry, that's my view on Tesla. Continuing on. Ram Dass comes in and I'm listening to his Experiments in Truth audible recording. And in this audible book, there are 8 of Ram Dass's lectures from the 1960s until the 1980s. And just the very first sentence of him speaking in this book, he said, "The minute I heard my first love story, I started looking for you. not knowing how blind that was. And that is a quote from Rumi, and he does say that. And for me, I couldn't be angry and be listening to someone who's referencing such wisdom and love. I couldn't be mad. I couldn't be angry. And I think at some point, even in the Experiments of Truth, he starts talking about traffic. And he starts talking about how he would get so mad. And I remember just feeling so seen, because I think I may have even previously been like recently in the car on my aggro kick. But when he started talking about how everybody's just trying to get to work, everybody's just trying to get to their job, all of a sudden, all of these pieces of my connectivity with everyone, with the world, it started to sink in. And I started to see myself in other people's shoes. And what I mean by that is, for example, maybe I was in a hurry to work one day and I got over maybe a little bit too soon, or kind of was like nudging my way in because people didn't want to let me in, because sometimes people don't want to let you in when it's a zipper merge, even though it's a zipper merge one at a time from each lane, you guys. That's how a zipper merge works. I was the person who maybe cut somebody else off, or I was the person that somebody else didn't see when they were, on their phone texting. Maybe I was also the person who was texting. We're all human here, right? We're constantly in different perspectives. We're constantly in our own shoes, but we can recognize that at one point in time, we may have been in the same shoes that somebody else is currently in. There's a level of understanding that we can share that really just allows us to have a little bit more compassion for our fellow man. And I don't know about you, but what I noticed about being angry for so long in my life and holding grudges, oh my gosh, did I love to hold a grudge, was that the only person that was really hurting was me. If I punch the steering wheel because I'm pissed that somebody cuts me off, my hand is bruised. That person who cut me off, they didn't see me. They probably don't know that I'm pissed. They don't know. It's absurd. Why are we hurting ourselves when we're mad at other people? It doesn't make sense. And most of the time, are we mad at the other people, or are we mad at ourselves because maybe we didn't leave early enough to make it to work on time? Did we not leave early enough to account for some additional traffic for the holiday, right? Everybody goes on holidays. Sometimes traffic is different. We have to leave room for, we'll call it, out of the ordinary circumstances. But just knowing that by being here right now, you don't have to be so angry. You can choose whether or not you want to be pissed in traffic. And I mean, if you think it suits you, sure, why not? For me, I ended up so lonely. Once I was so angry and pissed at everybody and holding on to everything, in addition to being hurt, I became so lonely. And I don't know if it's maybe because that doesn't align with my true character, if I felt like I was not being true to myself in those moments, or if it was because I had literally blocked and, removed all of the people from my life who even did anything remotely wrong to me, which, you could live your life however you want to live it. Maybe all you need is me and you on this podcast. And that's okay. But I do think that there is something to be said for connection, for community. And I've really tried to build a community, even down here in the desert now. Everywhere I go, I try to build a community. But here in the desert is where I live now. And there was the first year or two, I was just honestly so depressed. I missed everybody so much, and I was trying so hard to work through all my things and doing the coaching stuff, but I was severely depressed, and I was dealing with my traumas coming back to me in a way that it was new to me. I was alone with them, I was isolated with them, and I wasn't feeling safe in my own mind. And so what I had to do was decide to be here, to be with myself. I had to know what the rest of the thoughts were. Because the thoughts that keep sneaking up on you, that you try to shove down and pretend like they didn't happen, they did, and they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you something, you guys. Your body, the human body, it wants to heal itself. The mind, we want to heal ourselves. We're able to heal ourselves, but in order to do it, we have to look ourselves in the mirror. We have to listen to the stories that keep coming up so that we can hear how they play out, so that we can understand the lessons, because we are not the traumas that happen to us, but we are the lessons that we learn from them. And that is our power, choosing to take our lessons and not the pain and not the trauma, to leave those things in the past, put those rocks down. Just like last week when we were talking about how now is all there ever is. I think now is all there ever is and be here now are two beautiful fundamental phrases to coincidentally be back to back. Now is all there ever is, so be here now. Do what you can in this present moment to build your future. And on a small scale, on a non-traumatic scale, although maybe this would be traumatic to you, and for that, I'm sorry, I loved it. I made a hat recently from scratch. It's just a tiny little clip-in hat that I wanted to wear for a wedding. And I didn't think about how many little rhinestones it would take to bedazzle the little hat that I made. I mean, it can't be more than 3 inches tall. It's not a very big hat at all. And I didn't think about, there's got to be over hundreds of little rhinestones on this hat. I did not think, oh, Tyler, you're going to have to rhinestone hundreds of these little things onto this hat. I was just like, we're just going to do it one rhinestone at a time. One rhinestone at a time. I put the glue down, I put a rhinestone, I put another rhinestone. And then before I knew it, the whole hat was done. Before I knew it, like 4 days from start to finish probably. There was a lot, you guys. Each step, if we look at it as a moment in our life, it's a step we're taking to build our future, but we only get to our future by living in the now. Our vision, right, the future, our vision of the future only happens when we're accomplishing the mission daily. The mission is what gets us to our vision. And so I'm going to read a poem. I actually didn't name this poem, but I do think that it's about the presence. And so since I didn't name it, I'm just going to read it. And here we go. Not everything is meant to be for eternity. Eventually, the waves return to the sea. Allow yourself to be free. Feel the glee. Live life monumentally. Give sentimentally. You always have a friend in me. And that goes to everyone listening. You always have a friend in me. And recognize that truly not everything is meant to be forever. Things are temporary. Whatever you're going through right now, whether we want to view it as positive or negative, whatever you're going through, this will not last forever. So recognize that you're here. Recognize that you don't have to wait until the lessons are over to learn the lessons. You can be present in this moment with yourself, and you can learn. Even if you can't do anything else, even if you can't get out of bed today, you can be with yourself. It's powerful to choose to be a victim, right? If you choose it, it's powerful. You're choosing that you want the time to heal. Once it no longer serves you, and you just go on that autopilot, which it happens from time to time. I will admit, I've said it here. I've gone on autopilot. I've been through traumatic experiences, and I've come back out the other side, and sometimes they stick with you. Sometimes you have to be with yourself to get through it. The best way out is do. Do listen to yourself. Do explore your feelings. Do talk to other people. Allow yourself to connect with other people. And also, allow yourself to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the Broad Points Podcast. You can follow me at Broad Points or at Tyler the Lady. And if you do want to email me, you can. It is broadpointspodcast@gmail.com. And so, one more time, with that fundamental phrase, be here now.